BBC Radio Sussex.
Call 0800 232 1045.
BBC Radio Sussex.
So let's bring you some sound advice now. And we thought, because we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis, let's talk money advice, debt advice, and delighted to welcome onto the programme Rip and Ray from Hove, who hosts the Debt Talk podcast and joins me now. Thank you so much for joining. It's very good to have you with us today. It's a big topic, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sarah. You're right. I know we have an end of a year, so a financial year. We have a new year starting from April onwards. So no doubt different councils that have already increased their council tax bills. And I'm not sure if you received your bill in Brighton, you will notice that it has increased literally by, I don't know, a third. But guess what? When I saw my bill, I was shocked by it, and so were many. And water companies themselves have also increased their bill. And no doubt that is still going to pinch a lot of people in Sussex.
Well, this is what someone said to me the other day. We were talking about the increase in pensions, and someone sent me an email saying, right, okay, my pension's gone up, but this is, and then they came up with a long list of bills. Nothing is going down. I know we're constantly being told the cost of living crisis is easing, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
I mean, you're right. It doesn't feel like that. And although we are talking about fuel bills have reduced based on what it was, but it's nowhere near what it was like before. If you go back 2 years. So that is the reality of the thing. Yes, it's going down, but not going down in proportion to it. So I think we have to accept the fact that one good thing is we are heading towards a warmer period, so therefore use of your gas and electricity bill will be reduced, hopefully, simply because of the change of weather. But yes, on the whole, it is going to be tough times. So yeah.
I think sometimes when everything is going up, income isn't, and you're sort of precariously balanced on the brink of just about managing it. Just takes one big bill to come through, car going wrong, boiler going wrong, something else going wrong, and suddenly you're tipped into debt. How do people keep control of their finances in such precarious conditions? You know, what would your advice be?
I think one of the things I would like to say when it comes to the world of debt advice, which I'm coming from, there is no one size fits all. But what I do want to say, on certain things, you can get certain perks. So let's say, for example, when you're dealing with, as you know, Sarah, when it comes to the bills for water is going up, there are two things that are really, really valuable and useful to know for listeners from Sussex. And that is, because I know with Southern Waters, now they do have a perk, which is called, they can put a cap on the amount they will charge based on your usage. And I know also in terms of, I know you talk about Sussex radio, but I've been told that you also cover Surrey too. Anything linked with Thames Water, if you're on benefits, you can actually get 50% off your cost when it comes to waters. Now, Southern Waters are also providing something similar, and it's called Water Shore, which could reduce or limit the cost of water charge that they can actually do. But it's one of those things, you have to let the supplier know. But when it comes to overall, Sarah, I can tell you, in terms of bills maybe going up, there are things to do with what local councils can do. If you approach, let's say, Brighton Council, of course, straight away you should know when it comes to bills maybe going up, you should actually ask yourself the questions. Are you getting the support you need? If you're living on your own in one place, you should not be paying for multiple occupants. One person living in one home, you'll automatically get a single person's discounts, that's for sure. And if you're on low income, tell the councils you are on low income. Then you can get council tax reduction that's further on top of single person's discount. And obviously, if it's getting really, really tough, you have to say, could the council use their discretion to reduce or even write off the council tax bill because you can't afford to pay? But they will ask for any benefits that you're getting. They will also ask for your income to see if you have a genuine case to reduce the bill that you should be paying.
So really, it's all about don't bury your head in the sand. Make sure you communicate, talk to the people that you owe money to, see what discounts are available, and keep on top of finances that way. What about if you are needing a loan? I know that credit rating is something that a lot of us maybe don't even think about, but how do you make sure that you build your credit rating so that you can get the best loans?
Yeah, I mean, credit rating is very much like us looking for a job. When we look for a job, we create a CV for prospective employer. Now, credit rating, or another word, credit report, is a bit like your financial CV. Now, anyone who has never borrowed money, there's nothing to say on your financial CV because you've never borrowed it. Now, this sort of cases are very much like you're a newcomer, you're 17, 18, and think about going into the property ladder or anything else, and then you think about, okay, do I borrow money or not? Now, in that scenario, first thing you should be looking at in order for you to become a legitimate person is really registering with your electorate. Get yourself registered to vote as an individual. What that means is that you are an individual who exists in public, because credit reference agencies check those things to see if you exist. So once your existence is out the way, then the question is, are you actually flirting within the financial world? You do that by either you have already by now opened up a basic bank account that shows that you are putting in income and taking out whatever it may be, or let's say, for example, so that's another way to do it. And of course, if you're living on your own, or if you're living in a property, you're already paying your gas bill, electricity bill, water bill. Guess what? You're already on a credit file because those suppliers mention checks and provides an update to credit report. So you're already there. So then it's all a matter of, can you afford to repay the loan or the credit that you want to borrow? And every loan company has to see if you are credit worthy. So therefore, they may ask for your income and so forth. There is no on the whole one size for all. Once the basics are done, just like your employment CV, you are nearly on your way there. But of course, it is about whether can you afford to pay the loan within your means.
Oh, absolutely. Because sometimes taking out a loan to pay off debt is not the way forward, because you just end up with more debt. I'm always astounded. I used to work in a shop, and people would quite often come in and there was a big promo on sort of getting things on credit. And if you explain to people, they never quite understood APR. But if you said to them, right, no, okay, this is the actual figure that you'll be paying back, and put it in actual financial terms, then people weren't quite so enthusiastic to take things out on credit.
You're right. The days of high interest are over. And if you remember, I'm just going towards memory lane, Sarah, when you had a payday loan charging more than double than what you've borrowed. Then we're talking about APR going way above something like 1,000%. And guess what? Those days are over. APR is pretty much in a sense of annual percentage rate, i.e. in proportion to what you're borrowing, how much you'll be paying off. So really, there's always a cap. And I think APR will tell you the interest you'll be paying on top of it. So the lower the annual percentage rate, the lower that you'll be paying towards the interest itself, putting aside capital. So yes, you're right. Keep an eye on APR. It is something, actually, believe it or not, European Union introduced. But of course, we've moved away from the European Union. But one thing we held on to, that is annual percentage rate. The lower it is, which means the less you pay towards the interest and more you'll be paying towards capital.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Sarah.Gorrell at bbc.co.uk if you would like to add anything.